Welcome to the Growing Tall Poppies podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Nat Green, and I'm so excited to have you join me as we discuss what it means to navigate your way through post-traumatic growth and not just survive, but to thrive after trauma. Through our podcast, we will explore ways for you to create a life filled with greater purpose, self-awareness, and a deep inner peace. Through integrating the many years of knowledge and professional experience, as well as the wisdom of those who have experienced trauma firsthand, we will combine psychology, accelerated approaches, coaching, and personal experience to assist you to learn, to grow, and to thrive. I hope to empower you to create deeper awareness and understanding and stronger connections with yourself and with others, whilst also paving the way for those who have experienced trauma and adversity to reduce their suffering and become the very best versions of themselves in order to thrive. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. Welcome back to another empowering episode of Growing Tall Poppies. I'm your host, Dr. Nat Green, and I'm really excited because I'm loving this whole podcasting process so much that in the last few days, I've made a decision that instead of just dropping one episode a week on a Tuesday, I'm actually going to do a second episode on the weeks where we've had a special guest. In those weeks, on a Tuesday, we're going to hear from the special guest. And on the second episode that week, I'm going to be going through what I believe are the golden threads of the episode and what I believe to be the key components of what they've shared with us, of what they've learned and what they've been generous enough to vulnerably share with us all. And then we're going to, at the end of each season, look at what the key threads are that have emerged from each individual episode that we can put together to form the keys to navigating post-traumatic growth as efficiently and as effectively as we possibly can. So I hope that that's something that excites you as much as it's excited me for the week. As you'll know, on Tuesday, the episode dropped where we had a really courageous conversation with the incredible Jo Muirhead. And in that episode, we uncovered the essence of resilience and how to activate it amidst life's adversity. And Jo shared many insights and shed light on the importance of resilience as a dynamic process rather than a fixed trait. And she also emphasized for us the significance of understanding resilience as a tool that can be cultivated and harnessed, especially during challenging times. So in today's episode, we're going to be exploring the vital topics, as I believe, that came from the conversation with Jo around activating resilience and also the profound impact of community support in navigating trauma. So before I start, what I also really loved in our discussion was that Jo acknowledged the importance of post-traumatic growth being a journey, not a set and done process, but one that's likely to have some good days where we feel like we really are moving forward, and other days where we really need to listen to our own individual needs and might choose to just stay in bed. We can initially have the idea that we allow ourselves enough time and there will be an endpoint. However, Jo demonstrated to us that certainly that was not the case for her. And I believe for most of us that post-traumatic growth is a process. And with every day, we're navigating the path ahead and moving forward, even when it feels like we aren't. So let's look at the first component that Jo raised around understanding resilience. Jo emphasized that resilience isn't just about bouncing back, it's about bouncing forward. It's the ability to acknowledge, to adapt, to grow, and ultimately to thrive in the face of adversity. She shared valuable tools for activating resilience, including things such as self-awareness, some coping strategies, and the importance of seeking support from trusted individuals or professionals, whatever fits best for you. And it really was very profound to me that, as Jo highlighted, every individual is unique And we really must do what feels right for us, because we can only make a decision based on our own gut instinct about what's important. We know ourselves better than anyone else. And every one of us is unique, as our journey will also be unique. So Jo also highlighted the importance of embracing our vulnerability, and she demonstrated that so amazingly. Now, I've known Jo, as you heard the other day, for 17 years, and being vulnerable was not something that Jo would ever have done. So to see and hear her sharing what she's been through and showing up so vulnerably was an absolute privilege. And I would ask every one of you that's tuning in and listening to really look at the power that that vulnerability had and the impact it had on you, and then how you too might be able to let some of those walls down and start being a bit more vulnerable for yourself and sharing things with the people around you. And being vulnerable also comes with accepting help when we navigate our trauma. Jo emphasised that the vulnerability really wasn't a weakness. I'm sure absolutely no one felt like there was any weakness there with Jo. She showed the most amazing courage and demonstrated such a courageous act of strength. And Jo's insights remind us that resilience is not a solo journey. It's a collaborative effort that involves the support of our communities, which brings us to the next crucial topic as I see it from the discussion with Jo around community support in our recovery. One of the most powerful aspects of Jo's interview was her emphasis on the role of community support in her recovery process. So whether it's your family, your friends, or a support group, for Jo it was around her faith and the community associated from that, as she drew on that support from her community and stepped into and lent into that support very powerfully. So having a community to lean on will make all the difference for every one of us in navigating trauma. So some of the key points, as I see it, on community support was around that sense of belonging and connection. We know that as human beings, one of our core basic needs is that sense of belonging. And Jo highlighted the profound impact of belonging to the supportive community around her, with the emphasis being on supportive. It is absolutely imperative that we find where we fit, where we can slot in so that we're getting our needs met in a supportive and nurturing way when we need it the most. Because as we navigate the path of trauma and post-traumatic growth, it's really important that we do feel supported. Feeling connected and understood can provide a real sense of validation and of comfort during challenging times. And what's also really clear to me was that being part of a community of individuals who've experienced similar challenges can offer invaluable empathy and insight. Jo shared how deeply connected she felt with her friend and colleague Kylie, who was also a cancer survivor, and they shared similar, though unique challenges and offered each other invaluable empathy and insight. So sharing stories and experiences really can foster a sense of solidarity and hope. And I also thought that Jo emphasised that there's strength in seeking support from others. This is not something that she acknowledged that she had ever really done. However, by reaching out and leaning on our communities where we feel our needs are going to be best met, we can draw from collective resilience and wisdom. So yeah, for me, that was really powerful. And I'm sure so many of you found it just as powerful. And building on Jo's insights, let's explore some practical ways to cultivate resilience in our own lives. Jo referred to much of this as she told us her story and we had our conversation and watched it unfold. But here's a few strategies to consider. Let's look at cultivating resilience through mindfulness and self-care. Jo said that she now loves her pajamas and spending a day in her beautiful pajamas, spending time in bed and resting when needed, taking time for self-care practices such as this, yoga, mindfulness, meditation, exercise, time in nature, and relaxation techniques can all help us build emotional resilience and reduce our stress and really work on regulating our nervous system. Another thing that became really clear when talking with Jo was around the need for us to set boundaries. Jo talked about how she's shown up in the health system and her expectations now of health professionals. And by establishing healthy boundaries in her relationships and to her commitments as far as navigating work. In fact, she's even taken leave away from her work because she recognised that having healthy boundaries was what she needed to move forward for her right now. And this can help protect our mental and emotional well-being. Learning to say no when necessary is an essential aspect of self-care. And another one of activating resilience was around seeking professional support. Don't hesitate to reach out to a therapist, counsellor, or mental health professional if you're struggling to cope with navigating your trauma and the path forward. Professional support and surrounding ourselves with whoever it is that's the right fit for us can provide valuable guidance and tools for navigating our challenges. And one of the final things that I felt was really powerful was around the significance and the power of storytelling. So another theme that emerged from Jo's interview was the power of that storytelling in healing and resilience. So sharing our stories of triumph and adversity can be incredibly empowering, not only for ourselves, but also for others who may be on a similar journey, because it allows for validation and connection. Sharing our stories allows us to feel seen and heard, fostering a true sense of validation and connection with others who may have had similar experiences. I really firmly believe that hearing stories of resilience and overcoming adversity can inspire hope and motivation in others who may be struggling, as it really reminds us that we're not alone and that healing and growth are possible. It's also my firm belief that by openly discussing our experiences with trauma and resilience through this podcast, sharing those experiences, we contribute to breaking the stigma around mental health issues and around the concept of trauma. And in doing so, we create a culture of compassion and of understanding where everyone's journey is respected and truly valued. So as we wrap up today's episode, I encourage you to reflect on the insights shared by Jo Muirhead in our last episode, and to consider how you can apply them to your own life, whether it's by activating resilience. And please make sure you check out her free resources via the link in the show notes that Jo supplied the other day. And whether it's that, or seeking support, or sharing your story, or all of those things, then know that you're not alone on this journey. Thank you for joining us on a bonus episode of Growing Tall Poppies. Remember, resilience is not just about weathering the storm. It's about learning to dance in the rain and to stand tall and strong like the tall poppy that you are. Join us next time as we continue to explore empowering stories of growth, resilience, and of hope. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye for now. Thank you for joining me in this episode of Growing Tall Poppies. It is my deepest hope that today's episode may have inspired and empowered you to step fully into your post-traumatic growth so that you can have absolute clarity around who you are, what matters the most to you, and to assist you to release your negative emotions and regulate your nervous system so you can fully thrive. New episodes are published every Tuesday, and I hope you'll continue to join us as we explore both the strategies and the personal qualities required to fully live a life of post-traumatic growth and to thrive. So if it feels aligned to you and really resonates, then I invite you to hit subscribe, and it would mean the world to us if you could share this episode with others who you feel may benefit too. You may also find me on Instagram at Growing Tall Poppies and Facebook, Dr. Natalie Green. Remember, every moment is an opportunity to look for the lessons and to learn and increase your ability to live the life you desire and deserve. So for now, stay connected, stay inspired, stand tall like the tall poppy you are, and keep shining your light brightly in the world. Bye for now.